Well, the world has changed. Marketing and sales really need to work even more hand in hand now in 2025. And I actually would say that if we look at how people are buying now, marketing is actually even more important for sales because marketing is the first one in the door when it comes to the message and helping people move through the buyer's journey. So we're going to talk about a few different things. Our goal is that you can walk away with 2 or 3 things that you can take and implement today. So one of the first things we're going to talk about, of course, is AI. So we're going to talk about some trends. So we'll start with you, Rick. Tell us about some trends you're seeing in AI.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me here. Push the button. Thanks so much for having me here. Well, we are one of the companies. I work at Experian, and I work in an area that's really focused on HR compliance as well as verifications and housing. And so it's been really exciting to hear a lot of these HR conversations. We are a co-pilot shop, so we also have developed a bunch of internal tools that are helping people with reviews, for example, around the annual performance. And so one of the fun things that we did, that I personally did this last review cycle, I plugged in our ratings, it was a rating of 1 to 5 stars, basically, and I plugged in, I only have 4s and 5s on my team right now, thankfully. And so I plugged in the parameters and the descriptions of what the 4s and 5s are into Copilot. I also put in the employee's self-assessment. And that was something that I realized that they would see that I see them, that I'm really proud of what they've accomplished from their lens, which is something I've never really thought about before. Then I also put in the team's complete accomplishments, and then some goals that we had for the future that I already cleared with my manager. And it was really cool. I added percentages, and I put 40% on their self-assessment to see, let them really realize I found that what they thought was important, I also thought was important. So I spent most of that section really paying attention to them. And then, I put it into Copilot and said, basically, give me a review for this person based on these parameters, and I put percentages next to each one of the documents that I fed in there, and it spit out, under 200 words I added as well, and so it spit out reviews for each member of my directs, and it was one of the best review seasons that we've ever had, so it was really great to have that, but I know we're talking about things that you can do today, and that was something I highly recommend. It was just something really easy.
Michelle, how about you? What are you seeing in terms of trends with AI?
So there's so much going on, and I have a hard time narrowing it down to just a few of them. But first, let me tell you, I'm with a company called FlavorCloud. We help companies with international trade compliance and international shipping. So one of the things that we're doing with AI right now is people have to calculate the tariffs on what's actually coming into the country, what's going out of the country. So we've leveraged AI to help companies identify the harmonized tariff codes that to the 10-digit level based on the information that's actually being pulled in about product descriptions, everything from the fabric to country of origin and those sort of things to help you actually come up with what the right solution is for your business and also how you can calculate what the tariffs are. And all of that can happen in the shopping cart. So we're using AI both from a product perspective, but then when we think about it from a marketing perspective, there are so many things that we can do. We can help people. So we've already started using that kind of as a lead magnet as well for us in terms of allowing people to get a certain number of free HS codes that they can come to our site, leverage the free API, get a certain number of harmonized tariff codes, so we can leverage our AI as kind of a lead magnet. Another thing, and I'll try to keep it quick, so another thing, just thinking about your daily applications as a marketer. We were chatting today about rebranding your business. I think Women from Hire, you're going through a rebrand right now. My last company, we had to migrate 3,000 pages on a website to our new brand, make sure that everything was on there. Leveraging AI to make sure that all 3,000 pages were actually set up correctly, that they had the correct branding on it. There are some amazing applications like that that you can use as a marketer every single day to make your life easier?
I think AI only works when followed by, or when you include smart human strategy. And one of the big shifts that we're seeing, so the way we've positioned this panel is that, I've got the agency voice, we've got, a B2B brand, but also with a strong B2C your brand behind it, and then a B2B brand that serves the B2C brand. So we wanted to really make sure that we were able to cover all those things. And it's the way people are searching that I think is the next, we're not talking next practice yet, but it is a next practice. Right now, if someone goes online and they search for something, you may still think of Google, but Google only has, and the statistics are a little sketchy, but what we're seeing the market saying between 17 and 30% of daily search. Now, it's still 16 billion searches a day, but that means Instagram, LinkedIn, ChatGPT, and all the other AIs are starting to eat Google's lunch. Google used to have 90-something% of daily searches. If you were going to search for something, you'd say, we're going to Google it. Well, now a lot of people go to AI to do that. The challenge with AI is that now you've got to be the one or two companies that AI recommends, and if you are able to win that, which we've seen some really great ways to do that right now. We'll see how it changes as AI continues to grow and figure things out. But if you can win that, they're further along in the sales process because they have more information because the AI has trained them on some of the problems and solutions they need to be thinking about as it comes to solving that problem. So there's a really good opportunity for brands to get ahead by using, again, being found in ChatGPT. And there's 1,000 ways to do this, but what we're recommending our clients to do to start is by at least putting FAQs on their website, frequently asked questions. AI loves those, and AI wants to see you writing these things in the voice of the customer. So the voice of the customer has never been more important, even though I've personally been preaching that for the last 25 years. It's even more important now because AI sees that as an authoritative reference versus you saying, hey, we're the best at this X, Y, or Z. So any other thoughts about AI, or should we move on to the next question?
I think that was really, what you said about the FAQs is really a good one. It helps you to really tailor the voice that you can actually control it, right? Where, you're leaving it up to the bots to determine what you want them to cover. And if you're phrasing them in a question format, they really react to it. We like that method as well.
Any other thoughts on AI?
I think we'll probably tie into it when we get into branding, but I think those brand mentions, having the brand mentions out there, having AI be able to see multiple mentions of your brand in other locations besides just your website is so incredibly important to be able to be visible in those searches.
I think one other thing to consider is that AI doesn't need keywords. It just needs the voice of the customer. That makes your testimonials and video and all these other things that you can do much more important than making sure that you rank for a certain keyword. Let's talk a little bit about the resurgence of brand. What's some trends that you're seeing, actually, Rick?
Yeah, I think you really tapped into it, Rochelle, with the fact that, you have to realize, everybody's saying it, lean into AI, recognize it's happening, it's here to stay. And when you realize that you have to start controlling somehow the way that the bots are going to pick up what you're putting out there, leaning into the brand has been something that's really keeps you unique, right? It's really helps you to surface up your differentiators. One of the areas that we really have leaned into recently, we did see some of our traffic to our blogs drop about 20% once we started to see the AI summaries pop up, right? They don't have to click all the way to your website anymore. And so the way that we're overcoming that is we're putting a lot more in our subject matter expert's voice. So not just stating what a corporate speak you would expect, but really having an opinion. Having an opinion and taking a side on something is something you kind of got to watch when you're in a compliant heavy environment. But if you can have a perspective on something, there's a better chance that the bots are going to recognize that as unique and then serve that up in the AI summaries.
Okay. How many of you are familiar with the concept of effective frequency? Okay, so just a couple hands there. So Effective frequency is the concept of you need to hear something 7 to 27 times before you actually commit it to memory. And so from a brand perspective, when Jamie from Boot Barn was up here talking about playing those podcasts in the background, I'm like, that's absolutely brilliant, because the number of times you hear things in a similar way from different voices helps you actually commit that to memory. So when you're thinking about things like brand and the brand resurgence, it's where are all of those different voices coming in and chiming in with similar messages so that people can learn about your brand, commit your brand to memory, and also make you able to be found as well. I also have one more comment on brand resurgence. So marketing's a pendulum. You know, early on, marketing was all about branding, and then it became all about demand generation. And if you can't measure your ROI on it, then you can't do it. And so we've seen a lot of a rebound of this pendulum happen this past couple years, because we're seeing companies, the first place they want to cut some of those advertising budgets. I'll give you an exact example from a prior company. Wanted to cut some budget, so okay, cut the advertising. Everyone's like, oh, we don't have any direct return on advertising. But all of a sudden, our direct web traffic, which is the highest converting traffic to close deal, which has the highest deal size, all of a sudden that started going away. And they're like, well, how do you get more direct traffic? Okay, well, where are people finding out about you? So when you're changing something that's really hard to measure, it has those downstream impacts. So when we think about the resurgence of brand, it's tying the entire number of impressions that someone has about your business together to drive that overall sale.
Yeah, and it's amazing the tools that are now available to us. It used to be that you couldn't, and you still really can't track, brand from television. But with what the industry is calling connected TV, CTV, which is your Hulu, so ads on Hulu, Netflix, all those places, there's actually more that we can do to start finding attribution for sales from those platforms. The other thing is when you combine third-party attributors like Triple Whale, and there's an email program we really like for e-commerce called Klaviyo. They have really great models that are using AI that actually can give you better data. And we first started seeing this 3 or 4 years ago when we were running Facebook ads and Google ads for our clients, and none of the data matched between Facebook and Google. Now, Google made this change a few years ago. They announced what's called GA4, which is their Google Analytics 4. It's messed up every marketer and made our lives much more difficult. But when these other third-party attributors like Triple Whale, and there's a list of them, came along, we were able to now see which data is right because we have a third party validating that the information we're getting from both of those two organizations. And when I say Facebook, it's Meta is the parent company name, but most of us still lovingly refer to it as Facebook. Let's talk a little bit about, actually we should go to our next practices. So I don't have the clicker, if somebody could hit the button on that. I don't remember exactly what order we put these things in, but you see your thing on the screen, go ahead.
I think that might be good.
Sure. So I think these are mine. So just building on some of what I've already said in terms of the resurgence of brand. So brand amplification matters. It matters making sure that people are using consistent messages across your organization and that they're amplifying across multiple channels, because those number of mentions are going to matter. It's also going to matter in how you actually show up in AI searches as well. So make sure you're getting that brand amplification. Make sure you're having that effective frequency by having similar messages. The second thing is, I was surprised no one talked about tariffs today, and then I'm the first one up here. But especially if you're B2C, think about creative pricing strategies. There are so many interesting ways that you can go about this. We have a lot of companies that are shipping, say, into Canada, and they have the 25% reciprocal tariffs. In that situation, can you do something along the lines of localized market pricing where they're not seeing the tariff involved? People may be willing to pay a higher price and make their purchasing decision if they don't see that in the overall line item in your shopping cart. So there are some interesting creative pricing strategies that have to emerge, especially in a tariff and a volatile trade environment. And then the third and final thing is metrics are important. We all know metrics are important, especially as marketers. We need to know what's impacting the bottom line, but we also need to drive the insights and understand what's happening as a result of those. So I'll give you an example. If you're looking at your shopping cart and you're seeing your shopping cart conversion rate decrease, what point in time is that actually happening? Is there something that's showing on the screen? How do you drive the insight that will help you make the right decisions based on the data that you have? So it's more than metrics, it's driving to insight and driving to action.
Great stuff. Yeah, just on that last point, we started, our digital team surprised me the other day with this way that we can find out when our audience, the person, regularly checks their email or regularly checks their LinkedIn, and we're sending emails at that time that individual would particularly pick that up. So that's been a real cool use of AI as well.
Can we go to the next slide?
This is mine. Okay, know the value of your marketing program and how it contributes to revenue. This is just exactly building on what Rochelle was saying about, the metrics. I went to a Gartner conference not too long ago, and it was really funny. It was about what do CFOs think about marketers, and it really validated what I had thought originally. We're out here coming up with all these crazy ideas and spending all this money. And so it was really something to take back. Again, it's something I've long believed, but I felt like it was a real next practice to, again, really shift your mindset and focus on the business fundamentals. That's what the business needs from marketers today. And not everybody goes beyond the glitz and glamour, the real fun stuff, to dig into the numbers. But today, as a CMO, I tell my team, I really deal mostly with HR and finance and a little bit of legal these days. The team gets to enjoy all the creative stuff, but to get more funding, to get more resources, get more headcount, I've been using the numbers to my advantage, and it's been transformative. So that's my first one. Focus on your SMEs and thought leadership first. This is where we go back into that, the AI summaries, the fact that these are part of your unique IP, basically, right? This is what makes you unique, and tapping to the subject matter experts has really been also transformative for our thought leadership program. When I'm beginning a new initiative, I lean right into thought leadership first and build that foundation. Because when you do drop that rock into the pond and the ripples start coming towards the edge, you got to be ready for them to come back at you and that you know how to swim. So I always try and lead there with thought leadership and gain executive approval to do that, right? So that's something that we lean into. And this isn't exactly the most progressive third next practice, but it has a lot behind it. And it's again about understanding who you are and your uniqueness, what you're bringing to the table. I have done a huge study inside of our sales team and our service teams, those folks that are touching the clients first. And even the ones that say to me, Rick, I don't spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. It's not something I don't do social. And it makes me laugh a little bit because even though you don't do social, everyone else is doing social on you. And the first thing you need to do is recognize that your LinkedIn profile is getting reviewed. And I've gone through a bunch of y'all's today because I'm such an impressive group. And, people are not having a background or, certain things that, again, you have to be in control of your brand. And I think LinkedIn for business people is the best place to start.
Yeah, and I actually recommend that companies pay to have somebody rewrite everybody's client-facing should have their profile professionally rewritten to focus on the brand if the person is willing. We've had some pushback from some salespeople that apparently are so successful they don't need LinkedIn, but they're experts. What do we know? But we've seen, even if you can just change the headline, because the headline on your LinkedIn follows you around every time you comment. Those first 40 characters follow you around. So if you do nothing else today, right now, go in and change your headline so it says how you help somebody solve a problem, and that's going to change your business, at least at the start. The other thing we need to think about is there's this term out there called, so when I talk search, this is my next practice, is the industry is calling it answer engine optimization or generative engine optimization. This is the process someone goes through to use AI to do a search. So when you see that out there, that's all the things that you were talking about earlier with being found on AI. That's what the industry is calling it.